Hey, 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 we're live. We're alive. We're live. Thank you so much, everybody, for coming in, for tuning in. It means the world to me, obviously. It really, really, truly does. So, just if you've not seen me before, if you've not heard anything we've been saying before, the purpose of what we're here to do today during this session is to help and support you in getting your people right in your business. The people in your business are going to be the yardsticks by which you'll measure the business success and failure, whether you're working in the NHS, whether you're in a GP surgery, whether you're in construction, whether you're a charity, doesn't make any difference. The people, and by the way, even if you're a one-man band, the people in your business are the difference makers. They are the people that will transform your business either for the better or for the worst. So the purpose of today's meeting and this show is to come to you and give you information, tips, and things that can move that dial and help make your business a better business, help make you a stronger business, and hopefully a happier business too for the people that come and work for you. So one of the key things we talk about all the time, and it's going to emphasize this, we're here to help and grow and inspire businesses, 100% for sure. We are also here to help businesses to create environments that their people want to belong to, so that the people within your business actually enjoy being there and working in your business. And it stops feeling like a chore that no one wants to do, like the Monday morning feeling just every day of the week. Because if we spend 30% of the time we're awake at work with the people we work with, then you need to enjoy that, because that's a huge chunk of your time, more than you'll spend with your family and your friends in that particular environment. And life is just too short. Look, today we've got a really, really good topic on the board, which is how to increase your business's performance. And, you know, I want to get started because there's a couple of key points that I really, really, really want to go through that I think are massively important to this particular process for you and your business and for your staff to get that harmonization back together again. So the key thing here that I really want to touch upon, there's a couple, and I've just had another one since we write down a list of things that we want to kind of talk through, and just had another one just pop into my head just now. But the key thing here behind all business performance, and again, kicking the mic stand again, the key thing to focus on is whether you're a one-man band, whether you're obviously a team of 200, whether you're a team of 10,000, it really makes no difference in the grand scheme of things, because the people in your business are the ones that, like we just said, they're the ones that are doing the do. They're the ones that are actually doing the performance, providing the widgets, the outputs of whatever it is you're doing for your customers, clients, whether you're B2B, B2C, makes no difference, right? So these people, these human entities, that's why it's called HR, human resource, the human assets in your business are so fundamental to being able to drive the business performance. So what I mean by that is ultimately, if I have, say, for example, a team of people that are, I don't know, building marketing for us. So if we have a team of people that are doing marketing, if they're good at what they do, but ultimately aren't driven, aren't engaged, aren't involved, and are just turning up the 9 to 5 routine and then checking out afterwards, then what you could have is you could have potentially a team that's disengaged and not performing to its ultimate. So I'm not saying they could be doing bad. I'm not saying because they're just doing 9 to 5, they're really bad staff. No, but they're not maybe achieving what they could be. Yeah, so they're not perhaps reaching the standards, the levels that they could be at. And that's quite an important thing, because it could be so much more than it is. And, you know, ultimately, if that is the case, then the output, the quality, the marketing, the other bits and pieces could also be suffering from that. And the performance of the business equally could be suffering from that too. So the people impact on your performance. The people in your business are the people, they're the things that actually create what's going out in your business. There is no business in the land, in the world, not yet that I know of, even though we've got all this AI shit that's going on. There is no business in this world that can perform and function without human entities within them. So as long as that is the world that we live in, which I don't see changing, so if that's the world that we live in, then you're going to need people. And people in your business are going to drive your business performance overall. So whether you're measuring your performance based on, how many sales you're getting, or how much work you're doing for clients, or how successful that work is on driving a difference within your clients' businesses, the people are going to be the individuals that are making that happen. I mean, Rome wasn't built in a day, but it sure as hell wasn't built without the people that were creating it. The same thing with Egypt, countries, Britain, America, wherever you are, none of it's been built just out of thin air. It's been built on the shoulders of the people within those countries. It's the same thing with your football teams and whatever passion you like to support and go with. It's built on the individuals within it that drive it to where it's going to be, right? So for me, for example, rugby, Harlequins, huge fan in terms of that. For me, the teams are only as successful as the people that you're putting out on the pitch. And that analogy comes back into your business as well. So don't underestimate, don't come into this conversation and think, oh, Mike, you're talking about people again, God damn it. Well, yeah, I am. And I'm going to keep bloody doing it because they are huge, huge assets that will drive your business one way or another. It's your choice. It's your choice. But they will drive your business one way or another to either success, which is what we want, or failure. And it's predicated, how that goes is predicated on you, on how you are driving that. So if you have poor performing staff that are in your business, then okay, if you keep poor performing staff in your business, that's on your shoulders. That's on you, and you have to take ownership for that. And that's impacting on your business, almost like a cancer in your business that's stopping you and stymieing growth. That's 100% on you. In fact, that's on your performance. If you're the business owner or manager that's keeping that, then that is 100% on you. Now, one of the things that's come to my mind, it's not on my list, sorry everyone, but I want to definitely go through first, is what underpins all of this. So if we say people are important to your business, they are important to the success of your business, to the growth of your business, and all those other bits and pieces that come underneath that. If we say that they're important to your business, then what function is it that's driving that? So what's the operating system that this all works upon? And the key thing is like I said the other week, if I plug in a printer, I expect it to work. That's not how printers work these days, by the way, having got a new printer recently. So if you get a printer, they don't work by just plugging them in. But if we imagine for a second, if you plug a printer in, you expect it then to be able to print stuff, right? That's the functionality of it. If it doesn't do it, you take it back and you want a different printer. Well, with people, we don't work that way. You don't plug us in and we do, and it works to the standard you want it to straight away. We are very complex beings. We are complex people, and it takes a lot more than just bringing us in and saying, well, I'm paying you a job, you're getting a salary, or why can't you just do your damn job, man? Well, it doesn't work that way. And unfortunately for you, for me, and for every one of us, it's a lot more complicated. And you need to play to the strengths of what the operating system is. And the operating system for all of us as individuals is relationships. So that's the first point, hitting this mic stand. Relationships are key. I mean, they are so fundamental because that's what all of us operate from, on a basis of relationships, whether it's with your parents, with your loved one, with your husband, your wife, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your children, your nieces, nephews, cousins, your wider family, your friends. Everything is built upon relationships. When you're meeting new people for the first time, you're stoking and trying to build a bond of a relationship. Of whatever type of relationship that is, it makes no difference. It's still a bloody relationship, whichever way you cut it. So trying to focus on the quality of those relationships, having someone who can engage and be in a relationship with you is so fundamental when you're looking at building your teams around you. So what we always talk about is, you don't want a short-term relationship. When we're looking at employing people in our teams, I'm not looking for a fling. I'm looking for a long-term relationship. And by the way, in this context, long-term relationships don't mean forever. They may not be forever, but I certainly don't want something that's only going to be short-term. I want someone who can commit to me, but I also know I've got to commit to you. A relationship is a two-way journey between both of us. And I can be in multiple relationships with my team, and I want all of them to be in a relationship together, and I want us all to build something that we're happy to be a part of. People operate on the basis of relationships. Don't underestimate that. One of the things that, from experience that I've had in the past is when you go to places, you talk to managers and whether it's like, for example, if you're managing someone's conduct or their performance, and you go up to the manager, and one of the first questions I'd ask is, so what's your relationship with this person? How's in other words, when I'm saying that, how are things between the two of you? It's like a counselor type of thing, or not just, I'm their manager and everything else. How's the general gist of shit that's going on between you? What's the feel like? And what you tend to get back is, whoa, relationship in business is a dirty word. I'm not having a relationship. What the hell? No. These people are distant from me. I want literally nothing outside this workplace to do with them. They're just here to do. Now, help me to get them to do it. That's what they're like. And what I always say to people is can you just realize, take a step back for a minute. Just think about how that sounds to an individual. You matter so little to me. Your importance and significance to my life is so little. I want nothing to do with you in any frame or capacity, literally just to manage you. That's all I want. And I want nothing else other than that. You matter so little. That's the message that you're sending across. And like I said, we're more complicated than plugging in a printer. And that's pretty fucking complicated, I've got to be honest, right? So we're more complicated than doing that. You've got to actually bond. You've got to have some basis point to start from of a relationship. You have to be able to give something to people as well as getting something back. And by the way, no, paying a bloody salary, whilst that's important, you have to do it, is not enough. It is not enough. And if it was enough, then we wouldn't have a problem and I wouldn't have a business. So at the end of the day, you need to get that bond. You need to get that togetherness. We call it the working family. Working family, I mean, some people would sometimes think, family, I don't like the word family because it doesn't work for everybody, but it's a bonding. And for me, family is important. And it's one of our core values. And you need to be able to build a togetherness, a cohesiveness within your team, that you are a family, you're a unit, you are there for each other. You may not be in each other's lives all the time, 24/7. And you may have other things on the side, but you are together. And you look out for one another. And that's what your role as a manager, as an owner, should be looking to try and build upon, is a basis of building strong, firm relationships in your business. I guarantee that if you can build strong relationships with the people in your teams and your business, you will see an impact on performance. Absolutely. It's impossible not to. Because if I'm in a relationship with somebody and I value this relationship, because that's what you're building, this bond, a sense of belonging. It's a whole other video. But if you're building that sense of belonging, then I want to give back. I don't want to kind of lose that. I've got to play my part in this kind of, this family kind of process, or this setup, this team. I've got to play my part. I've got a responsibility to everybody else that I have that relationship to. And I value that. So therefore, it's impossible for me not to pick up the standards to then increase my performance. If I can increase my performance and the people around me increase their performance because that commitment to that relationship, it's going to increase the performance of your business. And I know a lot of this, by the way, I get it, right? A lot of this sounds like the fluffy shit around the sides, and you just want to run a business. You just want to manage your people. You just want them to do. You want them to come in and do what you're paying them to do. God damn it, why is that not enough? And I get it. But like I said, the operating system that every human being starts from is the basis of relationships. So when I'm going to work, I'm building relationships with the people around me. I'm building a relationship and rapport with my managers, whether you accept that one's being built or not. It's just, if you accept one isn't being built, it's a pretty shitty relationship. You're not going to get much out of that. But it is important. And I think in terms of driving the performance of your business, you need to drive the performance of your staff. And the starting place for that, and I can't believe that that's on the list, is relationships. It all starts with the value of your relationships and the strength of your relationships with your staff and your staff's relationships with each other. It's important. Please focus on the relationships. The next one, really, for me, when you move past that, and by the way, all of this should come together. It shouldn't be just focusing on one thing. We need to focus on every part of this. But the next part about that is, what are the standards that you're setting? What is it you find that is acceptable in your business? Obvious, right? Well, yeah, of course it is. But the amount of businesses that we talk to that avoid the confrontation, that's another video, but avoid confrontation and keep shit in their business, people that don't belong, people that are toxic, that will destroy those relationships and those bonds in your business. The amount of businesses that keep those people in and they let that slide, you are setting crap standards. Every time you keep crap people in your business, every time you keep people that are toxic, people that are letting the standards drop in terms of their performance and letting the team, drop down, you are setting the standards. Every time it's ebbing away and those standards start to drop. So you are setting standards, but you could be setting completely shit ones. And you need to increase those standards within your teams and within your people. They need to be right up there at the ceiling of what your expectations are. And I'm not saying that that means that, if people can't meet those expectations straight away, that obviously get rid of them, sack them off. At the end of the day, you've got to hire slow, fire fast. And what that means is when you identify that there are people that are creating a certain level of toxicity in your business, bad relationships, bad rapport, people that are sharing the wrong messages within your business, don't meet your values and your visions in your business, don't align to the ethos of what you're trying to drive and aspire to achieve, and are rocking up just for the minimum and do the minimum to keep their head down below kind of the parapet of being seen for what you're doing or not doing. So just kind of the easy riders, they just flow and cruise through the middle, the slipstream. If you accept these people in your business, other people will see that too. The people that surround that person will see what is happening there. If that person is getting away with a crap ton of sickness absence, perhaps they're really shit at their job and other people have to pick up the shortfall. Other people will see that and will see that that standard that you're willing to accept has lowered. And if it's okay for Tommy, it's okay for me. You accept what you're putting out there. And I think at the end of the day, you need to make sure you've got really high standards in your business. And therefore, you've got really high standards for the people in your business to achieve. And the people that can't achieve those standards are the people that you need to start thinking about whether they belong in your business. Because you need to set those standards. High standards drive performance. If I have high standards within my team and that I expect from the people that work for me, then ultimately when other people come into that, they'll see, shit, this is a high performing, functioning team. I need to pick up my socks. And you get that kind of almost a competitive kind of process going on that I've got to keep up. I've got to keep up because that's what the standards are. And when someone isn't keeping up and they're not meeting those standards, then perhaps that's where you say relationships aren't forever. I want a long-term relationship with people, and I want people that are going to be able to form good relationships in the business and to be able to drive success. But if you've got a low level of standards personally for you as to what you think is acceptable in terms of output and performance and productivity, then in which case you're just going to impact on everybody else around you. If you accept one bad apple in the bunch, absolutely it will spoil the bunch. There's just no two ways about it. And I think anybody who's been managing people for any length of time, any period of time, will recognize it only takes the one. It only takes the one person to swallow up all your time, suck it up, and become extremely toxic in your business and for everybody else. Setting your standards, building these relationships, build your cultures of what you want in your business. If you don't set your culture in your business, if you don't set your standards and the value of the relationships in your business, it doesn't exist in a vacuum. Every other fucker is going to set it for you. In which case, you've basically lost control of a big slice, a big piece of your business, because someone else, some toxic person potentially in your teams, is setting all of that for you, which means every time you bring somebody in, they're going to become native or they're going to leave. And you're just building more and more devalued relationships, devalued standards that's going to devalue performance and devalue your business. So you must focus on your standards. You must focus on the value of the relationship. I think the next thing about that is also what are you measuring? Do you know what I mean? So it's always good to say, oh, we need good relationships. We need high standards. It's fantastic. Yes, write this down. Yes, Mike's right. Lovely, jubbly. I hope, by the way, you are saying that and writing that down. But you need to understand what is a good standard. And in actual fact, is the word good right there? I mean, on my notes, I've got it on my screen at the moment. I'm looking at it. I said, what is good performance? And then I've crossed it out because good is a shit word. What is great performance? I'm not looking for average. I'm not looking for good. I'm not looking for just about enough. I want great performance. I want a great business. I want to achieve great things. That's what I want to achieve. That's what I want you to achieve. And I want all of us to be able to do that, because if you do, and I do, and everyone else around us has great performance and great outputs and great businesses, then we're all better for it. We're all better for it. We all benefit from that. But it can't be good. It's what is great standards, what is great performance. And you need to understand, what is that? You need to actually evaluate, what is it I'm looking for? What is great? What does that mean? And not only that, you're going to have it broken down into different kind of steps. What's great output performance for the business? What's great, fantastic output for my departments? What's great, fantastic output and performance for the teams within those departments? What's great, fantastic output for the individuals within those teams, within those departments, within the business? It's got to funnel downwards as to what that looks like. Because great for the business is the overall umbrella. It's the big picture, right? Massive. But you need to equate that down to the individual as well. Every person, it's going to sound really sad. I'm not a fan of insects. I can't believe this is where I'm going with this. But I'm not a great fan of insects, right? But there is one thing I really do love, and that's things like the leafcutter ant. It's just so bizarre. I know, right? Bear with me. There is a purpose to this, okay? So the leafcutter ant is a colony. It's an organism. Basically, every ant creates this whole bigger organism that is obviously the community, the leafcutter community, and the queen, and blah, 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 blah. Now, they all have a role to play. You have ants that are there to help go and collect. You've got the leaves. The ants that are there to grow the fungus that grows from the leaves, which is what they actually eat, not the leaves itself. You've got the ants that are there to protect, ants that are there to help to grow the breeding process of the queen. And everyone's got their role, right? Everyone, like they're individuals. Every ant has a role within the colony. And the big part about this is obviously, if you have one bad link in that chain, I feel like I'm doing a Disney movie here. If you have one bad link in that chain, that is a Disney movie, actually, Bugs Life. If you have a bad link in the chain, then it does impact on the business. So you need to understand every ant has a role to play in the success of that colony. Every person has a role to play in the success of your business. And they need to be able to see the value of what they're doing to the overall performance of the business, which is important. But they need to understand, what does that great performance for me keep hitting this thing? What does the great performance for me look like in this business? And how do I help to drive that success? Because I have a role to play in that. In the same way that every ant in that colony, God damn it, they all have a role to play too. They do. I can't believe I just did that analogy, but we went there. We did it. That's the purpose of Alive, right? So at the end of the day, you want to make sure that you're inspiring great performance, that you understand what that great performance is at every level within your business, and that also your staff know. They're aware. You can't keep this shit boxed up to yourself. You've got to let everybody else know. I think my voice just broke there. You've got to let everybody else know what great performance is in your business, in your departments, in your teams, and for your individuals. And everybody else should know what great performance is for everybody else too. Because we should be holding everybody accountable, and everybody should be holding everyone else accountable, because we're setting high standards here. That's what we want to have. We want to achieve, and we want to have this high standard of business performance and output for you and your teams. And then again, I mean, this kind of comes back onto the relationship piece for me. Is a lot of the time when businesses, when we hire staff, when we take people on, when you're taking on people for the first time, maybe you've got a massive business, maybe like the NHS, and it's just like a shit ton of people you got working for you, thousands. You know, you could be on anywhere within that spectrum. And it's very easy to fall into that world of, you know, we've got an administrative assistant. We need to hire an administrative assistant. So let's look at their CV and go through these different bits. And you bring that person in, you train them to a degree, you do an induction, and boom, off you go. You got this fully fledged person working within your business and other bits and pieces. And it's that mentality that I'm paying you a salary so I can turn a blind eye. I pay you a wage. I expect you to perform and do a job. And if you don't, then I'm either going to crack down on you because you're going to be one of those people and get you out, even though I've done nothing to help and support you. Maybe you're going to be over the edge on the other side, which is I'll do lots of support to the extent that I think is support, and then carry on whilst you're not performing and you're actually reducing the standards within your team and for the business ultimately. Or I create something else and I stick you into it so you're less impactful, both negatively and positively, but I keep paying you a wage because I don't like doing the confrontation, right? That's another one that comes up quite a lot. But what we tend to do as employers and as managers is we go into that process focusing on what they're giving us. Yeah. So we're going into these relationships, and it's very much one-way traffic. What are you doing for me? What do I get from this? When are you doing this performance? When is this project coming out? When are you gonna, it's all about me. It's all about me. It's all about the business. It's all about the managers. It's all about us and what the staff can give to us. And very, infrequently are we coming forward and thinking about what can we give extra to them. And I get it again, this could be one of those controversial moments again where I'm saying what more can you give to them? What more can I give to them? Do you not think I give enough? But you need to think outside the box of what else you can give people. So I always do this, right? If you said there are 5 important things that will drive a person to want to come and work for you, and you take money off that list, because that's the obvious one. We all get that, right? Money drives everything. There's another 4 things that are driving that person to come and work for you. That's why I pay you a salary mentality doesn't work, because you're focusing on one of the 5. There's 4 other things that you're not focusing on. So 90% of the basis of that relationship is forgotten about. So what else can you do? What else can you bring to the table that's going to help and inspire that person to not only stay with you, but to achieve those high standards, the high performance? What more can I give back to you? It's the kind of what I can give you versus what you can give me. And sometimes we need to focus more on what I can give you than what they can give back, so that you can try and inspire that relationship. Now, there is a caveat to that. And that caveat is that this isn't about you constantly always giving and not actually receiving. It's both ways. So if you're getting to a place, and this comes down to the measurement of performance and the measurement of productivity, But at the end of the day, if you are only giving and you're not getting anything back, this just sounds wrong. But if that is the scenario in the relationship that you are in, then that's a toxic relationship and it's not working. So there's a problem there too. So it's a two-way street. And that's the point of this. It's a focus of, don't just think giving money is sufficient enough. It's not. You've got to think more than that. Environment, location, any other bonus or benefits that you can provide. And by the way, no, don't go on about the fact that you give annual leave and it's a statutory requirement. Don't put that down as a benefit. Please don't put down that you give them a pension, because again, that's something else that realistically, when they've hit a set criteria, you have to give them anyway as well. What is outside of the box? And by the way, these things don't always have to cost money. So if you think about these things costing money, they don't always have to cost money. But you have to think outside that box about what else you can give to support staff. Here's another great one, by the way. Career pathways. For smaller businesses that are out there, this sounds really difficult and complex, because how can I do that? Because we're small. Where else can you go? But here's the point. If I'm a person coming and working for you, I may actually have higher aspirations than just staying in that job. I remember when I worked in local authority at the beginning of my career, and I went in there, and apologies for anyone who works there if you're watching this video back. It's not an indictment on anyone. But I went in and worked there, and one of the first things I did, wet behind the ears, is, how long have you been here? What have you been doing? They'd been there for 20 years by that point in time. And I look around, I think to myself, I don't want to be in the same job, in the same thing in 20 years' time. I've literally progressed nowhere in that scenario. I've gone nowhere. In fact, staying still is going backwards because the world overtakes you, right? I don't want to do that. Well, what kind of life cycle is that at the end of the day? So you get the same thing when you're bringing people into your business. Where is the trajectory of where I'm going to go? This comes on to other things around like your values and your vision of where you're going. But, where can I go? Building out a career pathway of what you're hoping to achieve. You're not guaranteeing it. You're not saying, absolutely, do you know what, Mike, we're going to have this role over here that will be developed pretty soon. You may have the opportunity of going into that role. I just want to know that there's some forethought, that there is actual potential opportunities of progression, and that I could do something. If I want to be able to set high standards and I want to achieve for my own self and my own career, I can see that there's a pathway I can go through in your business. And that's important to me. And that's something that's important to a lot of people. Unless you're coming to the end of your kind of working process, you're just like, I don't care. People are looking to aspire and to grow. And if you're keeping people stagnated, you're actually shrinking your business as well as their skill sets. You need to inspire growth. And that's another kind of benefit that you can go down. And by the way, that costs zero. It costs zero to do that process, right? And it makes a massive difference to people. And it shows that you actually do have an aspiration as a business. There is actually a vision of where you're going because you've already planned out these other bits and pieces. It helps you to upsell. So these are really important things. So think about, what can I bring to the table? What can I do for my people in my teams? How can I inspire and grow the relationships? How can I increase the standards within my team and for my people? And what does great look like within my teams? What is it I'm actually looking to try and achieve? If I don't have an idea, by the way, don't set a target that's achievable. You need to overshoot that, because otherwise the target's too low. It's too easy. So you need to grow. You need to expand. You need to get outside your comfort zone. But that's what you're looking to do by setting the kind of performance levels of great and those standards really high. Then you are looking to shoot for the stars. That's what you're trying to do, and bring the people with you along on that journey. And when they do, everybody benefits. So get a picture, an image of what does that look like at the end of the day. And then, one of the things and this is something, again, can be controversial, and I'm not saying people are lazy. It's a great way of starting it, right? It's really controversial. And I'm not saying people are lazy. Well, shit, he's probably going to say people are lazy. Look, productivity in the UK is low. And one of the problems we have as UK PLC is low productivity. That's the output for the effort we're putting in is quite low. And that comes down to a number of different contributing factors. It's not just a simplistic statement with a simplistic answer. there are things that we need to do, but you need to focus on your own economy of your own business. We need to focus on our own productivity of our own business, of our own sales, to be able to get the success that we're looking for. If we can all do that, then everything else grows anyway by the side of that. If we're not looking and measuring and aligning the levels of productivity, this comes back to setting what does great performance look like. These two things really go hand in glove. What is our productivity levels? What's the productivity levels of Joe Bloggs in your team? In other words, what's their output? How much effort is being put in? How much cost is that for me as a business to put in to get that output from that person? And how do I make that better? How do I make sure that by the way, productivity can be measured about so many different things. I mean, an easy analysis here is if you've got a sales team, productivity would be how many calls are they having to do a day and how many closes and deals are they getting? Okay. How much input and output am I getting? So if I put in X amount, what am I getting out from the machine, from the widget making factory? That's kind of the emphasis of it. Now, obviously, it gets a lot more nuanced if you haven't got people that are so easy to measure, like a sales team in that way. So if I've got an administration team, how do I measure them? Well, I measure them by working our way back from what we want to achieve in the next year and looking at the activity that these people are taking to drive towards those overall goals. And if the activity is poor, then my productivity is probably equally poor. And you can score that shit. And the point is I think far too often, we talked about standards, we talked about great performance. These things are all realistically around the same subject, the same area, right? But if I'm setting low standards, probably I'm going to have low performance. I'm going to have low productivity. And that's benefiting no one. No one gets helped by that, right? So how can I drive that? How can I increase that? And it starts with actually bloody measuring it is the first port of call and aligning what those expectations are in terms of productivity levels to your business and the standards that you set. So what is it that I'm expecting from people in terms of performance and how they're doing the job, their productivity, how much the job and output are they providing for the money that I'm investing into them? By the way, the people in your business, bar none, right, are going to be the most expensive asset. There is no other asset in your business. I do not care what business you're in, right? There is going to be no other asset that's more expensive than the people in your business. And that's not just on wages and pensions and other bits and pieces. By the way, potential insurance and everything else against them, right? There's so much that makes them so expensive. The time and energy that you and your manager have to spend on managing these people, right? They are, bar none, the most expensive, complex asset and the most important asset in your business to driving that success. That's why all of this that we're talking about is so important today. But if you're not measuring your value for money, well, you could just be throwing good money after bad. How do you know you're not? And by the way, it's not coming down to potentially that being bad people in the roles. It could be just a bad setup in your business. It could be the wrong focus. Maybe that's the wrong kind of area you're going down with that particular team. You need to adjust it into something else. You don't know that until you start measuring what the outputs are and what difference they make at the end of it in terms of performance of the individuals, the teams, and the business in terms of those different bits and pieces. So if we want to drive, we want to inspire growth, we want to increase our business over the next year, over 2023, 24, 25, the people are going to be so fundamentally important to that. They just truly will. And if you turn if you turn a blind eye to your people, you turn a blind eye to the standards, you turn a blind, God, what's going on? You turn a blind eye to the people, you turn a blind eye to the standards, you turn a blind eye to the performance, to the outputs and the productivity, and to what you're providing, what you're bringing to the table in terms of that relationship. And quite frankly, you're just letting that vacuum exist and other people will fill it in for you. And that's such a dangerous place to be. I mean, it's just so dangerous to allow other people, potentially they can be toxic people,
creating a toxic culture and environment in your business that it's just so hard to rein back in and get control, rein control over that. So it's so important to start thinking about these things now. So what are we saying that in terms of this? Because I want you to have a takeaway. I want, obviously, for those of you coming on and watching this, what is it you can take away that you can start implementing that's going to actually start moving the dial and making a difference? Because that's the whole purpose of this, right? It's not just me coming on and spouting shit. I want you to actually apply something. That's the key. Otherwise, this is just complete nonsense. So I want you to go away and I want you to look at what are the standards and are we keeping those standards across our business? Likelihood, the answer is probably no in some cases, right? What does great performance look like? For us as a business, break it down to your lower levels. What does great look like, as a team or a department, or you don't have departments, just your teams, or from an individual perspective? What does great look like? How's that going to help contribute to the overall vision of what we want to achieve this year? Okay. And I'm not saying set great. We're not saying average or good. Yeah. Those are the easy targets to hit. We're looking for great. So think bigger, think higher. Okay. Great performance targets that you're looking to set. What do they look like? We want to make sure that we're walking away from this and we're actually evaluating the strength of the relationship we have with the people in our teams. How important are those relationships? How well do you know the people in your teams? I'm not just talking about, I see Joe Blogs every day. We come to work and I say hello and everything else. And I'm not saying you need to get involved in their life to a huge extent either. I'm not saying you need to start going to little Johnny's birthday party. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying get involved with people and actually build a bond, a relationship with them, get some understanding and place that as a high urgency and high importance in your business. So start evaluating those different bits and pieces. How good are those relationships? Where are those people? Do you have those toxic people? Do you have those bad relationships in your business? What are you doing about them? How are you resolving that? Are they just kicking around? Have you taken any steps to do anything? You can't go from 0 to 60 in this shit and just fire people straight away. You've got to go through set processes. There's a lot of legal loopholes and hurdles that potentially you might have to think about. So you need to start planning this shit out. If you've got something toxic there, it's not like you can just turn it off all the time. There are things you need to do. And if you haven't been doing it thus far, then you're starting from scratch. I hate to break that to you, but that's where you'd be starting from. So you need to start thinking about that. If I have those bad relationships that aren't working for the business, how do I start to move them out of the business? How do I start that complicated process of what do I need to think about? What more can I bring to the table? Am I only thinking about what people are bringing into us and what they're doing for us? Am I genuinely, hand on heart, also considering what else can I do for my people in my teams? Am I valuing that to that extent as well? And am I valuing it beyond we provide them annual leave and a pension? Thank you very much, Mike. What else are you doing? How else is that environment? What does it look like? How does it feel? That's the other things you want to measure and look at. And then align what that output is to make sure, here's another great analogy. We're working with a company at the moment and a team, and their outputs, so they're very busy. They're immensely busy. They're busy people, right? Busy ants, really busy ants. But they're not contributing anything to the bigger picture. They're busy in the wrong way. They're busy, it sounds horrible, I'm not saying they're fools, but they are busy fools because they're doing a lot of activity and a lot of energy input, but the output is not going in the area you want it to. It's not contributing to the overall bigger picture. So how do I align that? How do I make sure that the output and the activity of my teams is focused towards the things that are making a difference? So I don't know if anybody's heard of them before, but I've got to give credit to things when we say things, and it's not me that's saying it. I've got to give credit to people that have said it. It's not me. But if anybody has heard of the Entrepreneur Circle, EC, something we belong to, so putting it out there. For those of you that have heard of that and part of the EC process is, you can be really, really busy and be really, really busy in the wrong areas. And ultimately, it's not going to help you in terms of being what they would call a professional business person. So in other words, one of the biggest things as a business that they talk about that you should be focusing on, one of the most important things in every business, okay, is how do I get more customers? If I don't have customers, I'm making no sales, I have no business. Okay, there's a lot of these things that happen. You need people to be able to help to make sales, whether you're a one-man band as well, by the way. Just putting it out there. But at the end of the day, it's one of the most important things. Well, if that's one of the most important things, how much time am I dedicating my diary to the most important thing in my business? So that's something that's quite big about what they talk about in Nigel there, which absolutely is true. It's basic, it's simple, but a lot of people don't do it, and it is absolutely true. And it's the same thing with this. The people are fundamentally, significantly important to your business and your success. How much time, how much energy are you spending on this particular function in your business? And by the way, you've also got to think about here, and this isn't just me, doing the upsell, like boop, click there, right? I'm not just doing that, but the point is, it's like, for example, I can't think of anything worse than doing the bookkeeping, right? People out there, you bookkeepers, I love and adore you. You are splendid. And it's thank God you exist in this world, right? Because you get lazy fuckers like me that can't stand doing that kind of stuff. Equally, you've got to think, is there value in your time being spent on this particular process in your business? If this is not your area of expertise in being able to drive this, you can see the importance of it. There's importance in doing bookkeeping. No one's going to argue with that, right? There's an importance about having an accountant. We ain't going to argue with that, right? But you ain't going to do it yourself because you don't have the skill set, and it's going to swallow up your time doing something that you really, to be honest with you, you shouldn't be doing. And it will be the same thing with this. So yes, you need to focus on it. Yes, this people problem in your business is really, really important. But maybe you ain't the right person to deal with it. Maybe your time on it isn't the right investment. And in actual fact, you should be thinking about investing in someone else to do that with you. Whether you're big enough to think about hiring someone internally, or you're looking to outsource that to somebody else, or whether it's just something on the side every now and then you want to do. Boop, boop, boop. That's up to you, right? But you've got to think these things are going to take time. People swallow time. They swallow it whole, gone, right? So you've got to think about that. But it is so important. What you can't do is go, yes, this will swallow up time. No, I don't have it. No, it ain't going to happen. That's a bad triangle of thought there you got going on. It is important. It does have to happen. You have to think a way around of getting that solution. So those are the points I want you to take away. Focus on those key areas. Start trying to see how you can put them into your business. Everybody, if you are listening, we also do a podcast. Just before I forget, because I didn't do it at the beginning, I've been informed, but we do. We have a podcast called The HR Man. You can get your podcast from wherever you are and wherever you get your podcasts from. That's the lazy statement. I don't know where you get it from, but it's available everywhere. So we're available on the podcast. Equally, please tune in to us on all other social media channels where we come to you from. And we're here to help and support wherever you are, wherever you're listening to this from, whatever channel you're on listening to us from. Please hit me up in the comments. I want to know what are the big major issues within your business from a staffing perspective that you would love to have some help and support with. That's something that we can put into these particular sessions. The purpose of today, the purpose of this show is to help you get the people element in your business right. I want to help you to achieve that. And if it means that you're going to tune in on a Thursday and watch a live, whether you're going to listen back when the podcast comes out every Friday and listen to it whilst you're walking your dog, whether you want to come on board here into a live with me and ask some of these questions and get some of that support live without paying for it for free, then let me know. Put it in the comments. And equally, by the way, I do not have a monopoly on opinions and facts. So if you disagree with anything I said, if you think that fundamentally I'm flawed and wrong on a big level, personally, I may well be, right? But if you do think that, put it in the comments. Let me know. Let me know what your thoughts are and share them. Let's build the topic. Let's build the conversation. I'm more happy to have dialogue and conversation with people than to say that I'm right, God damn it, on no matter what. I want to have open dialogue with everyone and every one of you, and I want to come and help you in the best way I can and with the skill sets that we have here. And that's what we're trying to do. Everybody, I hope you have a wonderful day with what's left with it. Thank you for sharing your lunchtime with me if you've been here live and watching right now. And thank you for sharing your time with me if you're watching a recorded version of this. It's been wonderful, and I'm blessed to be with you. Thank you very much, everyone. Ciao. Bye.